Here's something that'll mess with your head. For over 1 million years, humans used fire and couldn't make a single spark of it. Not one. So if lightning didn't strike and no volcano was nearby, entire tribes just froze in the dark. Tonight, you flip a switch. Back then, one wrong move meant your fire died, and so did your chances of surviving the night.
We treat fire like it's nothing, a lighter in your pocket, a stove that turns on in half a second. But here's the twist almost nobody tells you. Making fire from scratch is actually the last skill ancient humans figured out, not the first. Before they ever created a flame, they had to steal one. From the sky, from the ground, from pure luck. Stick around. Because the story of how we got from please, don't let it rain to click. And there is fire is way weirder than you think. Picture this. No matches. No lighters. No idea how to start a fire. All you have is waiting. Waiting for lightning to torch a tree. Waiting for a wildfire to rip through dry grassland and leave behind a trail of glowing embers. Waiting for the earth itself to crack open near a volcano and hand you flame like a gift. That's it. That's how it started. Humans didn't invent fire, they found it. Scientists studying Wonderwork Cave in South Africa found burnt bones and ash, almost 1 million years old, buried deep where a random wildfire has no business reaching, which means something wild. Early humans weren't lighting fires. They were rescuing them. But here's where it gets brutal. That's it. That's how it started. Humans didn't invent fire, they found it. Scientists studying Wonderwork Cave in South Africa found burnt bones and ash, almost 1 million years old, buried deep where a random wildfire has no business reaching, which means something wild. Early humans weren't lighting fires. They were rescuing them. But here's where it gets brutal.
Quick pause. If this is blowing your mind a little, drop a comment telling me if you think you could have kept a fire alive for a week straight. I'll read some of these later. Now here's the part that changes everything. Around 300,000 to 400,000 years ago, at a site called Kesem Cave in Israel, archaeologists found something huge. A hearth. Not a one-time accident. A spot where fire was built, used, and rebuilt again and again, on purpose, for generations.
And there was a second method to friction. Spinning a stick against wood until the heat builds into a tiny black hole. Sounds simple. It wasn't wrong. Wood fails. Damp wood fails. Wrong angle, wrong speed, wrong pressure fails. Around the same time, something eerie shows up in Europe. Neanderthal tools with wear patterns that only make sense if they were striking flint against iron pyrite, smashing rocks together, on purpose to throw sparks into dry tinder. And even when it worked, all you got was a fragile coal that still had to be nursed into an actual flame. This wasn't guesswork. This was a skill someone had to teach you. Here's the value bomb most videos skip completely. The real leap wasn't the spark. It was the teaching. Someone had to know exactly which rock to grab out of a pile that all looked the same. Someone had to know which plant fiber catches a spark, and which one just smokes and dies. And that knowledge had to pass hand to hand, generation to generation, or it disappeared forever with the person who died.
That's the moment fire stopped being just survival. It became information. Something a tribe could lose or protect forever.
And that constant use of fire. Some researchers, including Harvard primatologist Richard Wrangham, argue that cooking food changed human biology itself: easier digestion, more usable energy, possibly fueling the growth of bigger brains over time. Still debated by scientists, but wild to think about. Fire may have quite literally shaped what we became. Now, here's the part that actually gives me chills. Before fire, night was terrifying. Predators owned the dark. Humans didn't. But fire pushed that boundary back. It stretched the day into the night. And for the first time, people had hours to just sit together. And what did they do with that time? They talked, not hunting signals, not warnings, stories.
Anthropologists studying the Juhoansi people of the Kalahari found something fascinating. Daytime conversations were mostly practical, but at night, around the fire, almost everything shifted to storytelling. Legends, memories, gossip, myth. Fire didn't just keep bodies warm. It built culture. And weirdly, we never stopped. Ever notice how a candle on a dinner table pulls people in closer? How a campfire still makes voices drop lower, Conversations slow down. That's not nostalgia. That's 100,000 years of programming still running quietly in your nervous system. If you're finding this as fascinating as I do, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and I've got way more stories like this coming.
So here's the real timeline. First, humans found fire pure luck, pure gift. Then they kept it alive, arguably the hardest, most underrated survival job in human history. Only much later did they learn to create it on command. Found fire was opportunity, made fire was mastery, but if you ask me, the real skill was never the spark. It was the patience to keep something alive through the rain, through the dark, through hundreds of thousands of years until it became instinct. So here's my question for you. One night, no electricity, no heat, no light, could you actually survive it? Or would you be praying someone nearby remembers how? Tell me in the comments. I actually read every single one. If you love stories about ancient survival and the primal instincts still hiding inside modern life, hit subscribe. New story drops every week.